Hey guys, Vincent here. Just wanted to show you guys my nice new kitchen sink. I'm loving it. And talk about disease. Oh man, it is past my bedtime. But I thought I would just cover this brief thing before I crash. Yeah, I had it was a pretty aggressive job to put this sink in, but I'm like very happy with it. We got, of course, the reverse osmosis water filtration thing right there. Removes almost all the fluoride, all the other nasties and carcinogens, and that's the good point. But of course, there's a lot of minerals in the water. So you have to replace it with like vitamins or your diet or whatever. But most people get a lot of their mineral profile from municipal water. There's a lot in there, but there is also fluoride and chlorine, which I do not want in my system. I mean, it's great if it's on your teeth. You know, fluoride. They say it prevents tooth decay. The jury's out on that, but basically, if it's on your teeth, fine, but I should not be drinking that stuff because it is supposed to be like a neurotoxin. Anyway, when I did the sink install, I had to replace a few valves in there. And while I was in there, I went ahead and caulked around the outside here so that if there's a leak in the sink plumbing, it won't fall behind and into the cabinet and start rotting there. Instead, it will run out onto the kitchen floor. Now, I've got a little alarm in there that beeps if it senses water on the surface. It's got a couple of little electrodes. Handy and very, very cheap insurance. I highly recommend them. But anyway, so the reverse osmosis system is plumbed into the spigot here. It's also plumbed into the water spigot and the cold water here in the fridge and the ice. That's all reverse osmosis. And of course the on-demand hot water thing, that is also reverse osmosis. Pretty cool, huh? And then of course this is pretty cool, and it's got the little sprayer and you can spray around. Good times. It's a bit flimsy. You can actually move it, and the sink, it looks like the sink moves just a touch. That'll take a little getting used to, but I think it'll be okay. Well, of course, new garbage disposal, and yeah, I'm very happy with it. It looks a lot nicer. But this is just one aspect of being a human being, the ability to learn how to do very complex operations which no other animal on earth can basically even attempt. Closest thing is chimpanzees with their little straws and shoving it down into a termite nest and then eating the termites. That's about as close as it gets to animals that build and create and build with their culture, right? People, they're an entirely different kind of animal. We exist as animals, of course. Most of the drives and the emotions that exist in many of the animals, and we can recognize those emotions, and in a way, you know, when a dog is like really sad or having a bad dream or something, it's a natural urge for us, because we know what it's like, to run over and wake the dog up. And I've done that before. But people have a whole different reality that they live in. they have uh, they have basically hardware, which is like what you know what people and animals learn, but we have the ability to take whole pieces of experience from ourselves and put it into a compressed form and then share it out to other people who can then benefit from what we have learned without having to go through it themselves, without having to go through the learning process. And it just is a revolution. Everybody knows this, of course. And I'm getting to the disease. But basically, it's an entirely, it's like a second way of living. A second kind of life is our learning and our experiences and our ability to share those experiences and even make up fake experiences and share those as if they were real experiences. And we're getting closer to disease. Well, people basically, they share all this information around, and some of it has a tendency to harm the people who pick up the information. It's like a virus, and there are many types of viruses and diseases, both physical diseases, of course, like what's that new one, Ebola, and then there's like mental diseases, and a lot of them are communicable, and those diseases have a tendency to harm and hamper populations, and in certain situations it can actually cause those populations to fail and implode, and then they're ripe for being colonized by other societies that don't have that mental virus. Now, in the animal kingdoms, right, you've got things and systems which limit the populations, right, of certain animals, right? And for example, deer in pre-human time, those animals, their populations were limited by the predators, right? But what would limit the predators' populations, right? We've got, if it's just food which limited the population, what we would have seen among predators is an expansion of the population of the predators to the point where it stresses and really wipes the food supply out, and then you'd have just this horrible population crash. But then something occurred. I guess a system and systems have developed over billions of years, or the giant spirit in the sky created it all, right? Now the jury's out on that because there's no way of knowing for me, but some things in nature look so spooky that it's almost like they are constructed. And same with reality, with if you really want to blow your mind, look up the double slit experiment for quantum mechanics, how the observer can actually change the state of a particle or a wave. It's just by counting it, right? Crazy shit, we should not have that ability, but we seem to. And it's inexplicable. But anyway, in nature, these animals, they have a tendency, instead of having that horrible population crash and spike and crash, you seem to have a system which smooths out the population spikes and crashes, and that is disease, right? Because the predators, they kept the deer population down, but what kept the predator population down? To the point where they didn't totally destroy the prey animals, right? And that is disease. In prehistory, and probably in some parts of the world still, rabies is like a real thorn in the side for top-level predators like wolves and stuff. But anyway, I mean, it just turns you into this zombie. It turns the wolf into this crazed zombie that is really aggressive and wants to attack other wolves, right? And when their population is dense enough, then rabies can spread around a lot, and it wipes out big swaths of their population, but not as much as wiping out the entire food supply would. So it seems to be that population is controlled by disease, and I think people seem to have the same system, but the diseases, although we do have all the normal diseases, we have an intellect which gives us the ability to really hamstring those diseases and increase our populations to just things that nature just has never even prepared for. But we have mental diseases. Like in the past, some religions almost certainly developed where they said it was holy not to have kids or to eat your children or something, but those populations died out. But then there are the more mild diseases like, I think you guys know where I'm going with this, feminism, right? You basically, whenever a society seems to get wealthy and comfortable and established and really really wealthy and numerous, all the time it seems to happen through history. The women of the species just go freaking insane, man. They basically just they really start becoming entitled. They start just doing all the things that we're complaining about. They become unrealistic in mate selection. They become extremely hypergamous, and the result seems to be a flattening out and a crash of the population. Not really a crash, but a definite limiting factor. Sometimes it almost seems like feminism is like designed into the system somehow. Not that I like it, but it just seems to be one of those limiting factors. Oh well, just a thought. It is past my bedtime, and I am gonna crash later. I hope you like the sink.